Hello guys and welcome back. This is Rito and today we're taking a look at a couple of Warcry Warband lists because you might have seen my tier list video which I released yesterday. Actually I released two, but then I made the first one invisible because it's outdated. And as I said, I based those on specific Warband builds that partly I made, partly they were recommended to me by people who use them competitively in tournaments and so on. So I just want to share these lists, hear your opinions about them, because if you are a player who, for example, focuses on untamed beasts and knows the list very well, is very familiar with them and has a better list, you please do let me know. I will absolutely take all your feedback, and if I see something that I think, yes, this list is better than what I've got, I will change it. And really over the course of the next week, I hope to improve a lot upon my tier list. So basically by taking your advice on these warband lists and taking advice on how people would value the different kind of stats in comparison to each other. Also by adding something that will include abilities. That's something I'm working on right now. More on that later though. So let's get into the lists, shall we? So for Untamed Beasts, I went with the Heart Eater, of course you have to. The first Fang, because I just think that his pulling ability is very strong. 2 Rock Tusk Growlers. This was something many people recommended and many competitive lists use just because the Rock Tusk Growler is very good. 8 movement is great, the damage output is good. Nothing is wrong with this guy. Then we've got the Beast Speaker, because she can obviously buff the Rock Tusk Prowlers, which is nice. And then 3 Planesrunners, because you still want that battlefield control, having mobility, and yeah, just overall not bad for 55 points. Getting to the Spire Tyrants, we've got the Pit Champion, yeah, the only leader again. Then we use the Head Claimer 3 times, because just in terms of damage per point value, he's better than the Bestigor. Really no reason to bring the Bestigor, sadly, although I love the model, but yeah, there we go. We're taking the Head Claimer 3 times. None of the Pit Veterans, because they are not amazing for their points, honestly. We will have 1 Pit Fighter with Net. Could go 2, even if you wanted 2 or 3, but I've taken 1 for now. And then 6 Pit Fighters with Spears. So just more relatively cheap models in these Pit Fighters, who are quite good for their points as well, though. And then some very heavy punching out of these guys. Right, moving on to the Corvus Cabal. This is a similar warband to the Untamed Beasts, if one is being honest. The Shrike Talon basically has the same stat line the Rock Tusk Prowlers have, so might be a little bit, yeah, it has 1 crit damage less or something, but 1 attack more, so it's very similar. It's up the same ballpark, and therefore you want 2 of the Shrike Talons. The Spire Stalkers, they are just a bit too expensive for what they bring. So I went for the Shadow Piercer, 2 Shrike Talons, 1 normal Cabalist and 5 Cabalists with Spear. These guys are just better than the normal Cabalist, but you can only afford 5 and a normal Cabalist for the points. Moving on to the Cypher Lords, the Thrallmaster, obviously he's very good. He's got a teleporting ability for Mind Bounce. Then I'd bring 4 Mirror Blades with Glaive, because they are very, very good damage values. As you can see in the 0.05 thing here, that's very strong. Yeah, good models overall. And then I'd take 3 Mind Bounds with Glaive and 1 Mind Bound, just because that's how the points work out. Gives us 9 models, which is plenty for board control. The Thrallmaster can throw around the Mind Bounds as he pleases, and some very good damage output from the Mirror Blades. Moving on, we've got the Unmade. For those, I used 1 Blissful one, 2 Joyous ones, 2 Ascended ones, and 4 Awakened with Spear. That was a list that was recommended to me on Discord. I honestly don't know too well. I haven't. My video on Unmade and Splintered Fang is yet to come out, so I haven't looked into these guys too deeply yet. We've got Splintered Fang. This is one of the lists that I'm pretty sure is very strong. We've got a True Blood, a Serpent Caller, one Pure Blood, because he's just very good for his points. Then 7 Snakes and 1 Venom Blood with Swords, because he's also good for his points. But really the main draw here are the Snakes, because they are just really good with damage values for their points. 65 points is really cheap. Good movement, just overall good models. So that's our list for the Splintered Fang. Then we've got the Iron Golems. This is really nothing spectacular. This is basically an out-of-the-box warband. Taking 2 Drill Masters because she's actually pretty good for her points. Otherwise, yeah, 1 Legionary with Shield, 2 with the double-hand weapons just for the points reasons. Signifer, Ogre, and Dominar. I guess you could drop the Signifer and get 2 more Legionnaires if you wanted to. No, you can't. Doesn't work out points-wise. Well, anyways, I think this is it's a fine list, but it's not spectacular. On the other hand, Iron Golems might not be spectacular overall. Then we've got Idoneth. This is a list I've tested myself in tournaments and so on. I'm very confident this is a good list. It's an Ishleyan Prince, Ishleyan Guard, 3 Reavers and 4 Trolls. Yeah, personally I replace the Reavers with the Soul Render ally sometimes, 2 of the Reavers. But since we're not using allies for this tier list, that's the list I'm going with. And as I said, I've used this list, so I know it's good. We've got Caradron. I'd go 2 Arcanauts, 4 Arcanauts with Gatling guns, because they are amazing value. Having the kind of damage output they have at range is very rare. 4.1 damage at range is great for a very cheap model as well. So going for 4 of these guys, then 1 of the Thunderers with what I call the big gun for having 175 points, just because you want something that has really high damage output so you can burst something down if need be. So that's nice. And then I went for 1 Nergal Leader because it just gives you that good mobility. Again though, this is a list I came up with and I didn't get sent in, so if you have better Caradron Overlords list, please do let me know. We've got SevenF. I'm again very confident on this list. This is a 2 Colonel Hunters with Swords, Spider Revenant Leader, 2 Spider Revenants, 3 Tree Revenants, and 3 Dryads. So you can have in every battle group you can have a net from these guys. The Colonel Hunters provide very good damage, and the other guys decent mobility, and with the triple as well, the Tree Revenants can be quite fast, and as well for 50 points they are just a steal. So just I think quite a good list, SevenF there. And we've got Seraphin. We're using 9 skink with blowpipes because they are awesome. Just very good models, very quick, good damage, good range, just great overall. 1 Pterodon with Bolas, again to have that super mobility if you need to grab a treasure and run away with it, so on. So having 1 Pterodon, probably not a bad choice. And then a Saurus Guard Leader for that really heavy punch and more survivability on your leader. That's 11 models overall. And then we've got the Daughters of Cain, 1 Witch Elf with knives, 7 Sisters of Slaughter with the whip and the knife, just because I would get 8 if it fit points wise. I've got 1 Witch Elf just because the points didn't fit otherwise. And then 1 Blood Sister and the Blood Sister Leader. They just give you more mobility. 7-inch mobility is very good. Yeah, I think this is a super solid list as well. Something I also got feedback on by most people, that they use lots of Sisters of Slaughters because they are just awesome. Stonecast Hunters, or the Vanguard really, they get the Vanguard Hurricane Crossbow once. I'm taking the Hunter Prime because he is very, very survivable. And then 3 Ether Wings and 3 Gryph-hounds, because they give you the mobility you need, they give you good damage output, and the Gryph-hounds just overall pretty good. So this is a very strong list as well, I'd say. And we've got the Stonecast. Again, this isn't a list I came up with myself. I used someone else's. 3 Liberators with Great Swords, 1 Judicator with Boltstorm Crossbow, and 1 Paladin Great Hammer Leader. Not great mobility in this one. Very survivable, very high damage output. The Liberator, Great Swords, and the Paladin all have amazing damage outputs. Yeah, but not a top tier list. And again, if you know a better list for this warband, please do let me know. And we've got the Stormcast Mages. We use the Sequitur with Lantern as leader because the ability is actually quite good. 2 Grand Hammers, 2 Evocators, 5 models, 975 points. It's basically the same deal as the Stormcast Warriors. Good damage, but slow. Then we've got the Fire Slayers. I'm using 1 Auric Hearthguard, so because you want that ranged attack, you want that ability to slow enemies down. It's quite nice. Then I'm using 4 Volkite with double weapons, just to get like cheap models in there who also deal good damage for their points value. 1 Hearthguard Flail Leader and 3 Hearthguards with Flail, because the Flail is just plain better than the Axe. I don't see a reason to bring the Axe ever. Good. Then we've got Skaven. This might be a list people will debate about because there's many very good lists with Skaven. I think there's a ton of options here that are all amazing. There's Stormvermin Leader for this one, 6 Plague Monks, because their damage output is just crazy good for their points value. A Packmaster, 3 Giant Rats, and a Red Ogre. Then we've got the Nergal Mortals. I'm bringing 2 Bells, the Blight Lord, Blight King, Leader, and Banner. So 1 of each other than the Bells. I'm bringing 2 of those. Just because I feel like you really need that buff and movement. That really won't hurt. So this is what I would go with that. The Nogal Demons, again a list I got by someone else. I think I saw this on Red Rose Wargaming maybe, or something like that. Who knows? Anyways, Beast of Nergal for the good. It's got a good triple ability. We've got a Plague Drone Leader. For that mobility, you need 1 guy with movement 6. Fly is not bad, and he's also very survivable. 2 Nurglings because their damage output is really not bad, and 6 Plague Bearers. 50 points is really cheap. 2.6 damage per activation isn't bad, so Plague Bearer is quite good. Then for the Khorne models, I'm getting 3 Reaver double weapons, 2 Wrathmongers, 1 Wrathmonger Leader, and a Korgoroth to round it out. Okay, Khorne Demons, 6 Bloodletters, 2 Fleshhounds, and the Fleshhound Leader. Fleshhounds are just basically the same as the Rostas Prowler is. Very good models, 8 movement, good damage, good attacks, just overall great models. And the Bloodletters, they give you that battlefield control you need with multiple units. 3.4 damage per action is also good, so Bloodletters can't go wrong there. Then we've got Slaanesh. I'm getting 3 Fiends, the Fiend Leader, and 4 Demonettes. The Fiends just, again, provide very good mobility. They are very survivable as well at 30 wounds. Not the most amazing damage output, but that's what you're kind of getting out of the Demonettes, and none of the other fighters here have great damage output either, so yeah, I don't see any reason to not bring these guys. Then we've got Slaves to Darkness. I would get 2 Chaos Warriors with double weapons, 1 Chosen Great Weapon, 1 Chosen Leader, and 5 Marauders with Flail. Very good balance between super high damage out of the Chosen, and the Chaos Warriors also provide quite nice damage, and then you have good battlefield control with the Marauders. Again, you can stay out of range, 3-inch range for these guys, pretty good. Zing Mortals, we've got 4 Xango with great weapons, because they are just plain better than all the other Xango variants. 1 Acolyte with Scroll to give us that range damage, 1 Enlightened on foot with Polearm, and 1 Enlightened Archer Leader for that super high mobility and decent damage output. The range damage is not amazing, but the melee damage is the same as for Enlightened on disc. So just for 20 points you're getting that extra ranged attack, so that's pretty much worth it, or that's what people told me who played Zinj anyway. So again, not a list I came up with myself. Then we've got Zing Demons. This is another tournament list I've seen used. 5 pink horrors, 1 horror leader, 1 flamer and 1 exalted flamer. The flamer and exalted flamer have the advantage of getting that quad, which is very, very strong. They can throw out a lot of wounds in a 3-inch radius. Yeah, and the horrors, they just pepper away from distance. Then we got the Beasts of Chaos. 3 Gauls with double weapons, 3 Ungo Archers, 2 Bulgars with double weapons, and the Bulgar double weapon leader. Again, for these guys, the Bulgars are the double weapon Bulgars are just the high damage output. You need 6.7 and 9.3. That's crazy. Anyways, this is the damage output you need, and then you've got the other guys again to get objectives and so on. For ogres, this is one list I've changed since making the video yesterday. We are using only three ogres this time and 6 nomblers, because people told me that this is much more optimal, and I kind of saw their point. So ogres have increased in ranking now that they have more units on the battlefield, more battlefield control. So going with the Glutton Leader, Glutton double weapons, and 1 Lead Belcher. The Iron Jaws, 6 models in total. We've got the 2 Brutes with Gourd Chopper, 1 Leader with Boss Claw, and 3 Art Boys with double weapons. Yeah, just an overall a bit mediocre warband. The abilities are quite nice, especially the war is good, but other than that, the warband is not amazing. Then we've got Gloomspite Kids. This might also be a warband I will change. I'm not quite sure yet. This is a tournament list. I've seen this played in tournaments, and I know it's not a bad list, but I think some people will disagree. We've got 1 netter. You always have to bring a netter. You've got 2 shooters, just for that range pepper. Sometimes you need to get 1 wound off a model and so on, so the shooters are quite nice for that. 1 squig, because frankly their damage output per point value is awesome. 2 squig hoppers and 1 boing rod boss. That gives you a lot of mobility, a lot of damage output, and will win you a lot of scenarios. And we've got the Bone Splitters, 2 Savage Big Stabbers, 3 more boys, 1 more boy Totem. I thought he wouldn't probably be bad. I don't like the abilities much, but honestly his damage output is good, and he's got 3-inch range, so I don't think having him is bad at all. And we've got the Morboy Boss, and that's it. So 7 models altogether. The Big Stabbers are very good. They do a lot of damage and quite tough. So yeah, it's more of an elite warband, but it's quite good. Then we've got the Aussie Arc, 4 Mortec Guard with great swords. They are just incredibly superior to the normal sword and spear guys. Crazy damage out of these guys, 4.5 per action is amazing for a 95 point model. The Mortec Guard Leader, 2 Stalkers with the 4 weapons. That rounds out that list. And we've got Flesh Eater Cords again. I got recommended this list on Discord, I think. Yeah, so Crypt Infernal, Crypt Flayer, Crypt Horror, and 5 Crypt Ghouls. Nighthaunt. I think Nighthaunt are one of the warbands that suffer most from me not allowing allies for these lists. Sorry. because Nighthaunt just doesn't have amazing models. Overall, they really need an ally to make them kind of viable. 2 Chain Rasp, 1 Grimgar's Reaper for the ability, an Extol of Shaiish as leader, 1 Spirit Host because it's kind of the only way you're going to get some serious damage out there, and then 2 of the Myrmont Banshees, who are at least a bit more, deal at least a bit more damage than the other guys do. Yeah, so overall fine warband, but not amazing at all. Then we've got Legions of Nagash. It's not going to surprise you, we're using the Necromancer. 5 skeletons with spear just to get the numbers on the board, and then 6 Graveguards with great weapons because they are the best damage per point value in the entire game. Then we're looking... Oh, sorry, that's it. That was actually the last list. That was a lot of information, I know, guys. I hope you stuck through it with me, and yeah, please do let me know about your lists. I'm really interested in this because I want to make a tier list in the end of this that's going to be as good as possible, and I know that you guys can help me get there. So thank you very much for watching, and see you in the next one.